come from Philadelphia. I have 4 kids under 11. So I'm kind of on vacation right now because I took a plane and I had a hotel and I'm not going home till tomorrow. So I feel a little guilty, but not. I don't. I already got a text from my husband. There's 2 soccer games going on, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I hope you packed the bag. I don't really care. I do, but he travels too, so I feel kind of like excited to be on my own this weekend. I'm also a school teacher. It's actually 17 years this year. I've been in 2nd grade in special education. I love it. I love little children. Right now, it's exhausting. September, we went back to school, so this month has been very crazy for me. And my baby, the Superhero Project, is why I'm kind of here today to talk to you. In 2013, I was a busy mom. We had 2 small children, a 4 and a 3-year-old, and we were, let's go for number 3. We're going to have our 3rd kid. I got pregnant. We went to our 10-week ultrasound. My husband had actually come with me. By the 3rd time around, he was sitting texting, not even really paying attention to what was going on, and the lady said, well, there's baby A, and there's baby B. And we kind of just froze. So whatever you're thinking that you may have thought in your head, having, working full time, having a 3 and a 4-year-old at the time, that's what I felt. So for the next 30 minutes, we drove to my mom's to pick up our other 2 kids. We didn't speak. We didn't know what we were going to do. I was so nervous. I'm a type A personality, so not having control, I felt already, I was thinking to the end, like, how am I going to go back to work with 4 kids under 5? So fast forward 20 weeks, we go along, and the pregnancy went as normal. Everything was good. And then we hit about 28 weeks, and they said baby A, which was my Connor, had kind of stopped growing. His growth was becoming not optimal. Is there anyone here who has had a premature baby or knows of someone who did? So you're probably with me right now in understanding that, the NICU was in my mind. I had never stepped foot. I actually didn't really know many people who had a baby in the NICU, but I knew enough to be scared. And so if you could put up the picture with my family. I don't know if you have to Oh, there we go. So this is my crew. So Connor was baby A, and this is Curran, baby B. And Connor at the time was already showing so much smaller. He's a tiny little guy. So I said, okay, we're just going to keep going with our testing, and so we did. And we got to 32 weeks, and I went in for my routine testing, and the lady took a little longer. She came back with a concerned look on her face. I read people really well, so I knew something was wrong. So she said, I need you to go upstairs, and I want you to call someone at home, get your bag, you're not going home. So it's 32 weeks, it's 8 weeks earlier than needed. So I go up there, and I sit down, and they immediately give me some steroids to improve their lungs for the babies. And 24 hours goes by, and things were kind of looking okay. It was kind of touch and go, like, well, you're stable, the baby looks okay, his heart rate's still good, we're good. So I send my husband home, like, just go home. We have 2 other kids that had been with my mom, go home. He not but leaves, and Connor's heart rate drops all the way down, and they said, flip over, call your husband back, we're delivering tonight. I've not had a C-section before. My other 2 were full-term babies, so they whisked me back to the OR, and in the meantime, I have 15 people drilling at me questions, and this is what to expect, and do you know what's going to happen next? You're probably not going to see your baby right away. They're going to take them over the NICU, and I'm just like out of control. So I'm laying on the operating table, and I remember saying to myself, just breathe and think short term. I just want to hear them cry, and we can go from there. If I hear them cry, we can go from there. Baby A comes out, 2 pounds, 11 ounces. That's my Connor screaming. Bring him over to me, he kisses me, they take him away. Curran, who was 5 pounds, 1 ounce, almost double, cried, and they didn't bring him over to me, and they took him right away. And I think I was in such a panic that I wasn't like, oh, you brought one over, but you didn't the other. I was kind of like, okay, they both cried, we're good. A few hours later, I got to go back to the NICU to meet my sons for the first time. There was no bonding that happened prior to that, so the first time I got to see them, I was laying in a hospital bed. They wheeled me in, and my little Connor was 16 inches. He looked like a little doll laying there. And Curran was on a ventilator, hooked up to lots of tubes. So for me, it was frightening, it was exhausting, I was scared, and again, felt out of control. So for the next 4 days, I kind of felt better. I got to go in, and most people think that the most difficult part of having a child in the NICU is the day they're born. Is that all these expectations that you have for your journey go a certain way. And that wasn't the hardest moment for me in my entire life. The hardest moment for me was on day 4 when they said, Kelly, you gotta go home. Your boys are staying. So I go home, I get to the elevator, there's no balloons, there's no gifts. It's me, my husband, and a strange nurse. And I kept saying to myself, just hold it together. I know how this looks. Just hold it together. Tell them thank you so much. You'll be back later. You got this. And I got in the car, and that cry that you have that's so deep-seated, it sounded like a wail came out of me, and I just lost it in the car. And my husband kind of consoled me and then said, but you need to pull it together because you have a 3- and a 4-year-old who haven't seen mommy in a week. And if you could put up the picture of, I think the next picture on the slide is with me and my boys. It was the first time I got to hold them. It was on day 4. It was the day that I was going home. And, I'm sorry, I get emotional. It's fake. There was no happiness. I was not happy at this moment. But I knew that I needed the picture for myself, for my journey. So I got home and my kids were so excited to see me. And I remember laying on the bathroom floor like, Kelly, like, pull it together. If you know me in my personal life, I am not someone that breaks easily. Actually, the only time I cry is ever when I tell my story. I'm the kind of girl that, like, I hustle, I do, whatever, but when it comes to this moment in my life, it's so difficult. And I can't pinpoint why. I know the lack of control for me felt so foreign because I'm such an in-control kind of person, but sometimes you have to break like this to be able to do great things in life. And that's kind of where I've learned from this. So the next month of my life, I spent going twice a day to the hospital. I drove back and forth daily. If we couldn't get a sitter, my husband stayed home. I did not miss a day. I sat in that chair and waited for rounds. And I learned a lot about people. I learned a lot about healthcare, and I learned a lot about myself in that time. So they came home at 2 different times. I brought one home after 3 weeks, and one came home after 4 weeks. And so at one point, I had 2 small children. I had Curran home, and then Connor was still left at the hospital. So I had taken the year off from teaching. I took a sabbatical, and in the sabbatical, how it works in Pennsylvania with half your pay, I get half my pay to stay home, but I had to take 18 credits. So here I am, postpartum here, going on, very, very deep, 18 credits deep, and finding myself keep being pulled back to giving back to the NICU. And, care packages were wonderful, and I surprised the nurses with cookies. They all were great. But I kept thinking, what was that moment? What was the hardest moment for me? And it was leaving them behind. So I typed in on Google, innovative NICU technology, and up popped this company. And they supply cameras for the bed so you can see your child 24 hours a day. And that was it. I threw myself into fundraising. I put a GoFundMe up on Facebook. Within 2 days, it was $4,000. And now I'm like, oh my God, now I really have to go to the hospital and take care of this. The hospital jumped on board. Fast forward 4 years later, I've donated, actually it's almost $200,000 to this point, in 10 hospitals. And they're in many hospitals. I'm not sure about Texas, but they are actually becoming this like standard base of care. And every time I meet with a hospital, it's 20 people at a table, all of these stakeholders, and then it's me. And I always say to them, I feel like I'm just mom, but I'm probably the most important stakeholder at your table because I represent the women, the fathers, the families that are sitting in your chairs. So when you take a look at yourself and you take a look at the things that you want to give back or you want to make a difference, I ask you to find the thing that's the most difficult to you. Because when you do that, you are able to make big change. I talk to my students, my children, about empathy and how empathy changes everything. And I don't think that we're all able to have empathy until you really walk with someone in life. So I'm asking you today that when you listen to these speakers and you think about, when you leave today, you want to make a difference in your community, find the thing that's the hardest for you and go from there. The thing I always keep in mind is why I do what I do and who I do it for. And that picture of my boys I keep when I travel, when I speak. I keep it before every year in January we have a gala that I use as my biggest fundraising tool for the year. I have 650 people coming to this every year. And initially when I was booking it, I was doing small fundraisers. Like, I'm going to make a difference. I'll raise $10,000 here and we'll get some sponsors. And then what I realized was, it's the people that are affected by this who are coming and bringing their family and friends because they're growing. And it's almost their way of saying, I'm honoring my child in this time of their life. So it's this kind of a family that I am sitting when I'm sitting and speaking about my organization, or I'm going to a hospital, and I'm saying, family should come first. So in the healthcare system, that can be very difficult because funding always comes in. So thank you guys so much, and I hope you learned something from my